Welcome to Locked On Golden Knights. Is the window closing for VGK to make a run for the Stanley Cup?
For Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello everybody, I'm Chris Gawlik. I can be found at TDChrisG on Twitter, at TDChrisG on Twitter. Thanks for making Locked On Golden Knights your first listen. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast from. Folks, we're going solo today. Tony Cordasco is on assignment. He's out scouting the Federal League. He's checking out the Charleston Chiefs. We're trying to get some grit for VGK, so I sent him on a plane out to the East Coast, and he'll report back on Monday what he found. Folks, today is about the listeners. I put out a tweet yesterday on our Locked On Twitter handle, simply looking for things to talk about today. And we had some great responses. The entire first segment is based on one of the questions I got. The final segment will just kind of be a mailbag of quick hitter questions, and we'll just roll through them one at a time. Before we get too deep into this, folks, I do just want to give a big thank you to everybody. I've been hanging out with Tony for about the last month or so doing this, and don't get a chance to say it too often, but just thanks for all the fun relationships I've made and Twitter interactions. Looking forward to getting to know some of you and finding you in the back of Section 217 once Season 6 for VGK starts. Come find me. We'll enjoy an electric lemonade or two together. Love those things. All right, so our first, let me make sure I get this right here. Our first question that came in, I'm going to hit an entire segment on. This came from Isaiah Newman. So Isaiah, first and foremost, thank you for checking out the tweet and giving me some things to talk about. So here's the question. How many more seasons do we have before our window closes on being Stanley Cup competitors? That's a fantastic question, and I think before I answer directly, our best window was season number 5. We had an opportunity to exceed the salary cap and have some additional talents based on injuries and the way things shook out. The goal, obviously, was for a healthy VGK to sneak into the playoffs the way things went, and then the stars would align and we'd still be talking about playoff hockey that involves VGK. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So just looking on Cap Friendly right now, I'm going to do some quick math here. I'm looking at players that are either over 30 or that will turn 30 during the current, during season number 6. So get out your calculators, folks. 9.5, 7 million, so we're at 16. Another 6, we're at 22. Another 5, we're at 27. 32 million. Going down to the defense now. Now we're over 41 million. 47 million. 49 million. And then Robin Lehner at 5 million. We have, how many players is that? Let's see. That's a lot. It's a lot of players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9 players that are going to chop up 50 million plus of our salary cap that are age 30 or will be age 30 during season number 6. That immediately screams concern to me, folks. That is immediate concern. We have a lot of talent, but Alex Pietrangelo, he's going to be a year older now, folks. He is going to be 33 years old some point during this season. That's $8.8 million right there. Max Pacioretty, 33. Mark Stone is now on the wrong side of 30. I'm not saying these are players that are bad players. I'm not dogging them by any means like that. Just simply the more you play this game, the longer you're around, the more injuries you get. Every time you're hit, it takes a little bit of the life away from your career as a whole. These players have been through an absolute ton in their respective careers. They've accomplished a ton, but their bodies have been through so much. I'm 41 years old. I refereed a 2-set of a low-level hockey at lifeguard last night, and I'm sore this morning, and I probably never hit more than 9 miles an hour skating. Probably 7 miles an hour. But either way, I'm not in anywhere the shape of these players. I get that, but just simply the older you get, you're going to slow down. So how many more years was the question that Isaiah gave? I'm saying 1 or 2 years tops. 1 or 2 years tops. A concern right now, and this is a double-edged sword. We're coming up on season number 6. Let's go back to season number 1, or players that were maybe in the AHL at that time would have been with the Chicago Wolves. Who was in our minor league system then that is starting to make an impact now? Keegan Kolesar? Okay. I think Zach Whitecloud is a developed from the prospect level up into the NHL level. Our fourth line, I mean, that's Kolesar. Otherwise, Carrier was already up with us. Thinking about the third line, I mean, Janmark, Dadonov, players like that. Those are all trade acquisitions. And then our top 6 is either the Misfits, which acquired through the expansion draft, or now you have Pacioretty, Stone, and Jack Eichel, which are all free agents or trade targets. So the concern that I have is our talent pipeline is not developing fast enough. Now, that's also a product of the deals that were made. We don't have Cody Glass. That's okay. Cody Glass is down in Milwaukee right now with the Milwaukee Admirals. Can't even crack a spot with the Nashville Predators right now. It would have been nice for a change of scenery to maybe reignite his career, and unfortunately for Cody, that hasn't happened. Maybe it will happen a little bit down the road, but we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. Outside of that, Nick Suzuki, Montreal. Okay, he's going to have a just fine career. He is going to be solid, and we'll just kind of see where that goes. But again, would you rather have Stone, Pacioretty, or Cody Glass, Nick Suzuki? So I get that goes both ways here. But outside of that, looking at the AHL level, which players are going to carry the Golden Knights, or at least have a high complementary type role? You know, you look at like a Nicholas Wow or a Chandler Stevenson, how VGK has caught lightning in a bottle with those players. Who at the AHL level is ready to take that step? Is it Paul Cotter? Okay, maybe. Is it Ronberg? Is it Lecision? Maybe. Is it Miramanov back on defense? Maybe. The player that we're looking to make an instant impact, and I think someone asked me about this as well on Twitter, Brendan Brisson next year. He looked great in the short amount of games he played at the AHL level last year. He should slot into the VGK lineup next year. I think he will. I think he'll be on one of the power play units and give us an instant push, just simply taking one-timers from he's a lefty, so taking one-timers from the right circle, you know, kind of like how Ovechkin sets up a shop on the left circle and just pounds in that one-timer. I think 2 or 3 of his first goals with the Silver Knights were on the power play on those types of plays. So that would be really good if someone like Brisson can have an instant impact for the Golden Knights. But outside of Brisson, I just don't see Cotter, Lecision, or Ronberg being those players that can have an instant scoring threat for the Golden Knights. And we have our fourth line. I think our fourth line stays intact with Kolesar, Carrier, and Nick Waugh next year. Are we looking at the Henderson Horsies making up line number 3 next year? Brisson, okay, fine. I can see Brisson there, but putting him with Cotter, Lecision, I don't know if that's going to, or Ben Jones even had a cup of coffee last year with us. Normally when I'm going with Tony, I can stop and drink for a second, but hold on a minute. All right, anyway, moving forward from that. So I'm concerned about the depth. I'm concerned about the role players that are going to come up through the pipeline. So VGK is going to have to replace some of the players once we have some transition going from season 5 to season 6 with either players down in Henderson or players via free agency. Well, folks, I just told you we have $50 million tied up from 9 players that are age 30 and higher. those are tough players to trade away. You can't just trade away, a $5 or $6 million contract for someone that is 30 years old or more without either just getting absolutely fleeced in the deal or giving up another key piece. And will that happen in the offseason? Will a beloved VGK or an up-and-coming VGK have to be traded to shed some contract space? Maybe. It's going to be very interesting, and we still have to see how the coaching situation plays out. The coaching situation is going to dictate how this roster is made. There's still a lot of chatter about Barry Trotz possibly having a deal in place to come to Vegas. Okay, that's exciting. That's big news. I would very much like to see Barry Trotz come here. I don't know if he's the best fit, but he's a name I'll definitely take. But he's defense first, so there will be a lot of changes to the roster composition. And maybe, just maybe, someone like Trotz can get more out of our players. I believe that was a weakness from Pete DeBoer. I don't think he was able to develop enough of our complementary players and get more out of them. So hopefully, whoever the next coach is, Trotz, and insert any other name here, it has to be someone who can develop talent quickly. So Isaiah, to simply give you an answer, the VGK window under the current roster composition is next year, and I think that's it. If we can't make a deep run in season number 6, I don't see seasons 7, 8, 9, 10 being easier. Because, again, this time next year, if I'm still here doing this, I hope I am, but this time next year we'll be saying how these players are now a year older again. It's going to be that much harder. So, yeah. Isaiah, we got a year, I think, tops, maybe 2 years if we can squeeze it and develop some talent quickly. We'll have to see how that shakes out. Folks, stay close. We're going to discuss some more of the Round 3 Conference Finals, an amazing game between Edmonton and Colorado last night, and then we're going to preview the Rangers and the Lightning tonight. BetOnline is your #1 source for all betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including this year's basketball championship matchup, NHL Hockey Conference Finals, Major League Baseball, and of course the latest fighting news from MMA and UFC to boxing. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. Head to the website today and to use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So many angles right now in terms of how to approach the conference finals. Unfortunately, I was on the square side last night. I went with the over 7. Once I saw Pavel Francouz was starting for Colorado, I felt there was going to be more goals scored. I thought we were going to have another barn burner, but yeah. So tonight we're going to have to double down and chase last night's loss, because that's how we do it here in Vegas. We don't accept a loss. We keep on going until we can get it back. All right, folks, welcome back to Locked On VGK. I'm Chris Gawlik. I can be found at TD Chris G. Again, Tony is traveling right now. He's on his way to the East Coast to handle some business. I still think he's going to check out the Charleston Chiefs. We need to get some more physicality here in Vegas. So I sent him out there, and he'll give us a report back on Monday with his findings. Maybe Ogie Oglethorpe will be coming back for another season, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, folks, last night we had an interesting game between Colorado and Edmonton. No one, I don't think, was predicting a 4-0 loss, a 4-0 shutout for Colorado over Edmonton. There were some lineup changes I noticed. They switched around Kane and Leon Draisaitl. I'm not exactly sure why. When you put up six goals the night before, I don't know why the Edmonton coach is going to overthink things like that, but that's just kind of how things shook out. Evander Kane was Evander Kane as far as mixing it up. But the Colorado Avalanche were able to keep it together. Bravo, Pavel Francouz, for getting a shutout in a game where I don't think anyone was giving him a chance to be able to slow down the Edmonton Oilers in that just remarkable offense. That series now shifts up north to Edmonton. We'll see if Colorado can steal a game and put Edmonton on the brink of elimination. Looking tonight, another awesome matchup between the Rangers and the Lightning. I know my son is stoked, as the Rangers are his second love behind the Vegas Golden Knights. And if he were here, he'd probably start the Rangers goal song and all the Rangers chants and such. But fun game coming up. I am curious to see how Gallant and Cooper, how that chess match will continue to play out. Rangers crushed Tampa, for lack of a better term. They absolutely crushed them 6-2 on Wednesday nights. Tampa, I believe, is 17 or 18-0 coming off a playoff loss. How will Gerard Gallant combat that? How is he going to? He knows he's going to get Tampa's best game. He knows the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to leave everything on the table. They don't want to go back to Tampa down 2 games. That said, John Cooper, the Tampa Bay coach, will have them prepared. This is a team that is patient. They will wait for their opportunities, and if they go down 0-2, they can rebound from it. Same token, the Rangers have also been down 0-2, so they know that they have to keep the pedal to the metal, because Rangers were obviously able to come back and win the series against the Hurricanes while facing a 2-0 deficit and also being down 3-1 against Pittsburgh. So I know we always hear about no quit in New York, but even though this is game 2, the Rangers need urgency in this game. They need to keep Tampa's back against the wall. Will Reeves and Maroon have a little more fun this game? We'll kind of have to see how that plays out. If it's a blowout in any direction, look for a lot of fun around the 2-minute mark or so of the third period, as teams exchange plenty of pleasantries and just try to establish their physical dominance before they start game number 3. The kid line, Lafreniere, is doing amazing things. I think that is the key right now to how the Rangers are staying competitive and having that depth. I mean, Kreider, Panarin, and everyone, they're going to do their job. They're going to put plenty of scoring opportunities on the board, but you need that third line and even fourth line to contribute, whether it's some offense or just simply the physical dominance. So looking forward to a lot of fun. I think the Rangers are going to squeak this one out tonight. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I could see a 3-1 affair, but I do think the Rangers will squeak this one out. I believe the next time we talk on Monday, I think the Rangers will have 3 wins in that series. Same thing about Colorado. I think they'll also have 3 wins, and Monday or Tuesday, I think we'll have an idea of what our Stanley Cup final is going to be, and I'm pretty comfortable that it's going to end up being the Rangers. You can't see what just happened, folks, but I got a cell phone back here just with some notes on it, and it just went boom. So that's why I'm turning around doing all these unprofessional things at the moment. So I do think our Stanley Cup final will be Rangers and Colorado. And again, talk about a chess match, but we'll get to that more next week once we see how things shake out. All right, folks, coming up in our last segment, all questions. I'm just going to go through our Twitter handle, all caller questions, all call-in questions from our Twitter handle. But first, folks, we do have an important favor to ask. We put together a survey so we can learn more about listeners like you and make your favorite Locked On podcast even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like and what you don't like about Locked On podcasts. Don't send a complaint about me, please. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now to get started. It won't take very long, and everyone that completes a survey can qualify for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. To take your audience survey, go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And we do appreciate your help. We'd love to see some notes about yours truly and Tony, hopefully in a positive light. All right, folks, thanks for making Locked On VGK your first listen every day. All right, let's go right to the Twitter handle, folks. I glanced at these questions, but I didn't look too closely because I just kind of wanted to give you the most authentic response I can here. So we started with Isaiah about the cup window. How much longer do we have? Isaiah, very important comment. Sorry, not trying to hijack the thread. I'm a big fan of the podcast. You do great work. Keep up the great content. Isaiah, thank you very much. Uncle Isaiah, thank you very much for the wonderful comments. Isaiah also asked, does Thompson have any chance at beating Lehner out for starting goalie? Or will Lehner starts, keyword start, to justify his salary? Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Here's the VGK goaltending situation. Lehner is locked up for a long-term contract. One more year for LB. LT is locked up on a very team-friendly long-term contract. Folks, Robin Lehner is the starter next year. Robin Lehner is the starter going into next year. Nothing is going to change at camp. Nothing will change early in the season unless Robin Lehner's play drops out. Brossoit, if someone wants to trade for him, I think VGK will gladly let Brossoit go for nothing if the contract is taken. And I believe VGK would be very happy rolling into season 6 with a combination of Lehner and Thompson. Will Thompson beat out Lehner? Maybe at some point, but Lehner, we dog Lehner a lot, folks, and sometimes it's justified, sometimes it's not. He's always going to be the goalie that took Marc-Andre Fleury's beloved position and sent him packing, which, it's unfortunate. No one's going to fill Marc-Andre Fleury's shoes or skates, per se, on or off the ice. But Lehner is a solid goalie. We can win with Lehner. And I think contrary to what Tony says, I do think Robin Lehner can take a team to the Stanley Cup. Is he going to put VGK on its back and carry them through a playoff run? He's not that type of goalie. But let's look at the last 4 teams that are left right now. Tampa. Vasilevsky, yes, Vasilevsky definitely can carry the team on his back. But if Lehner was on that team, how much worse would they be? A healthy Lehner. I think they would be just fine. Same thing, obviously, with the Rangers. Looking on the West right now, would you rather have Mike Smith or Robin Lehner as your starting goalie? Anyone that says Mike Smith, I'm going to throw things at you right now. If you're saying you'd rather have Mike Smith over Robin Lehner, no. Darcy Kemper over Robin Lehner? No. I'll take Robin Lehner. Lehner is a safety net for the Vegas Golden Knights. He is going to keep the games close. There's going to be some goals that go in that shouldn't, but every goalie does that, folks. Every goalie does that. Robin Lehner will be the starting goalie next year. I think it's going to start the same. I think it's going to be Lehner, Brossoit, 1-2, and Thompson's going to start in the AHL, and we're just going to kind of see how things shake out. If we learned a single lesson from season number 5, folks, expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected. All right, let's keep on going here. Isaiah again, will Brossoit be able to contribute VGK next year and help with our salary cap issues, or does he have one more season left in Henderson? No. I think he's day 1 VGK next year. I think he's going to slot in either on line 2 or line 3, depending on exactly what happens with the VGK offseason. We see his ability to score. I hit on that in segment number 1. He's going to give the power play an immediate boost. I don't see any scenario where he starts next year in Henderson unless he just doesn't have a good camp and doesn't seem ready. But I think he's hungry. We've seen these players come out of college and make immediate impacts. I believe Brossoit is one of those players and could be the key to a deep run for VGK in season number 6. All right. Wasawa Aaron, another fun one. We've had a lot of interactions. So Wasawa Aaron, thank you for all your interactions and fun. And again, hopefully I can meet you and Isaiah and everyone else in the back of section 217 next year for a VGK game. All right, could you envision a scenario where none of our current top 3 goalies are starting in that next season? I'm thinking a team that has 2 starting goalies who might be intrigued by one of our centers or wings, maybe helps us shed some cap space as well. Expect the unexpected. I guess I'll give that answer. I joked, I used to write for a franchise sports media, which is where I made this connection with Tony. And I actually joked, I think going from seasons 4 to 5, that let's go ahead and move on from Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner and just start fresh, maybe find a couple like Brossoit level goalies and just kind of see how that takes shape. You could save a lot of money with that and obviously really change the dynamic of the team. That said, that's dramatic though. I don't see all 3 of those goalies not being here. I could see VGK getting creative and trying to move on from Lehner and or Brossoit, and maybe counting on Logan Thompson to have an increased role, maybe with another journeyman type goalie. I could see something like that, maybe. But if I'm going to handicap it, I'd probably say it's about minus 350. We have all three VGK goalies, or VGK and HSK goalies, with the Golden Knights entering season number 6. I want to save that question. I want to save that one. Okay, so this is a great topic starter again from Aaron. I like this one. Assuming we don't have any surprises Friday morning, it's 8:20. We haven't had one yet. Is there any chance Ryan Craig might be in consideration for head coach? There must be a reason he's still around, and by all accounts, his relationship with the players is strong. What type of system would he bring? As far as a system, I don't know. I'm not that good of a podcaster or a hockey follower to hit on that part of it. But I did some research right before I came online, and Ryan Craig has a relationship with Kelly McCrimmon going back to the late 90s. Kelly McCrimmon actually drafted Ryan Craig to the Brandon Wheat Kings, which is what started his AHL and a cup of coffee every now and then at the NHL level. And then Ryan Craig actually retired from, I believe, the Tampa Bay Lightning to immediately step into an assistant coach role with the Vegas Golden Knights. I had no idea, so I'm actually appreciative of this question from Aaron, just to learn a little more about Ryan Craig. I was also happy on a personal note to see Ryan Craig still staying with the organization, because I do see him coaching some youth hockey over at Lifeguard. I know his family is there and everything, so it's definitely good for him that he's not going to have to pick up and move. He has that relationship with McCrimmon first and foremost, and the players second, so he's going to be here for a while. Could they maybe be grooming Ryan Craig at one point for the leader, the head coaching role? Maybe. Is it going to be right now? Gosh, I don't think so. I really think you need a coach that can manage the personalities of all these experienced veterans. Someone that's been there before. You look at Barry Trotz. You look at the Caps team he took to the Cup, from TJ Oshie to Ovechkin, obviously, and many, many, many more experienced veteran players who simply need the right level of direction. I don't know if Ryan Craig is ready to take that level of leadership yet. I'm not knocking him by any means, but he now has simply, 5 seasons as an assistant coach. So yeah, Ryan Craig, great future. Love seeing him down in Henderson, working with the kids and everything, and I'm glad he's going to stay around. Something else that got me thinking also when I was looking at this question, I've never heard Manny Viveiros' name mentioned once in any level of consideration, Viveiros being the coach of the Henderson Silver Knights. I'm not advocating that he's ready. I'm not saying it's a bad idea as well, but isn't that kind of what your AHL level coach is being groomed for? I believe John Cooper had that relationship with all the Tampa Bay Lightning players going way back before he made the jump to this level. And there's many other coaches that start at the AHL level with their farm club, and then they got the call. Is Viveiros ready for that type of role? I don't know, and I know they're he's in his I think ever-going battle with cancer right now. We wish him all the best with that. So I don't know if maybe that's playing into this at all. But he's been in Henderson for 2 years. He knows the system. Granted, whatever the system is, when the new coach comes in, that could be changing that. But he knows Vegas and Southern Nevada hockey as well as anybody right now. And he is getting these players ready. Maybe someone like Viveiros can get more out of some of our younger type players. And it just kind of surprises me that never once have I heard any mention from myself, from Tony, and from any of the VGK media, local, national. I've never heard his name mentioned once. So I find that kind of curious. And at least, maybe he got a conversation. Maybe he got an interview. I don't know. VGK has been very tight-lipped about this entire process, which is another thing we can probably spend a whole show talking about. But, just give some love to Manny Viveiros and at least hear what the man has to say about possibly taking on the helm for VGK. If we're not going to have someone who has Stanley Cup pedigree like a Barry Trotz or like a Rick Tocchet. Someone of that level, I would almost rather see him go with the Manny Viveiros over like Paul Maurice or someone like that. Let's see, what else do we got here? This is a fun one. I was actually thinking about this and I forgot to get an answer in my head, so we're going to wing this one. On a lighter note, Aaron asks, which VGK player, aside from those you've already shared time with, so you pay attention, would you most want to pick their brain and have a beer with? Cheers, he says. So cheers to my coffee daiquiri this morning. All right, which player would I like to have a beer with? I have shared some spirits, if you will, with many of the VGKs. Of the very first season, going in season number 2, they had the Night to Remember Gala down at the World Market Center. I got an invite for that, and oh my goodness, what a night that was. Me and William Karlsson, I drank him under the table. No, a ton of fun, but outside of players I've already been able to, spend some time with, who would I love to enjoy a spirit with? I guess we'll say it like that to keep it PG. I think Jack Eichel is the first one that comes to mind. I really enjoyed when he was on the Spittin' Chicklets podcast right after he got signed by VGK. He seems very down to earth, and I would love to hear what he really has to say about Buffalo and how he was treated, how he felt about things, and what the transition is like from how he's feeling about being here in Vegas. He gets dogged, and even he gets dogged here in Vegas. Tony's been on him a little bit, and I've agreed and disagreed with some of the things Tony has said about Eichel, but generally, I think Eichel's very positive, and I think you get him a little bit loosened up. I think he would be a very fun sit down. Robin Lehner is the next obvious answer. I would just love to discuss anything with him. I think Robin Lehner is a very down-to-earth dude. I did enjoy his tweets. I thought he was very witty on Twitter, and his interactions were fun. Logan Thompson. We'll give a little brag here about how Logan Thompson responded to my tweet when I suggested that he might get traded in the offseason to help create some cap space by shedding some of our more expensive players. And I got the donkey response directly from Logan Thompson telling me basically his way of saying he's not going anywhere. So it'd be fun, I think, to sit down and talk with him, not just so he can dog me and tell me how bad I am at my hobby. This is not a job. This is my hobby, folks. But it would also be fun. I think he's just a fun guy, and the fact that he did take the time to do something like that, I think he'd be fun to mess with and pour a few drinks back. Did I miss any questions here? I don't think I missed anything. Let me check one more spot here, just make sure we didn't miss anything. Ooh, Aaron just fired one here. Okay, here we go. Do we worry about the cap too much? Is it like the NFL where it's often said it isn't real? What's nice about having a billionaire owner is he can shut the office door and say, hey, you'll get your money one way or the other. Oh, Aaron, I bet you had no idea I would read that live, so I definitely hope you check out the show today. That's, I guess, that's as far as I'll take that one here. But, listen, Foley, to just expand on that a little bit, I don't think Foley has to be too concerned about money. I mean, he is a successful business person of hockey and outside of hockey. You don't get successful in business by recklessly spending and just, treating people like that. But when you don't, look at the Coyotes and their situation and other teams who are strapped for cash and might, pinch pennies a little bit differently. So I like Foley as our owner. I'm a little concerned about the shape the team has taken and a lot of the things that have hit the public eye as of late. But I do think Foley is going to do his part in turning that around and increasing the level of respect and the business handlings of the Vegas Golden Knights. And I think we'll take it home right there. Again, thank you for making Locked On VGK your first listen every day. Next week, we'll talk more about the playoffs. I said today was the day we're going to have, Friday, June 3rd, was the day we would have a coach in place. So let's see what happens by EOD, by end of day, and see if that changes. Hopefully we'll have that to talk about next week. Folks, now make your second listen Locked On NHL. Locked On NHL covers the playoffs like no other. Hear the latest news and opinions from local experts like myself, Monday through Friday. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Folks, have a good weekend. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Chris Gawlik, and thanks again. We'll see you next week.